All right, yesterday, Republican state lawmakers in California filed a lawsuit to stop the rushed backroom redistricting efforts of California Governor Gavin Newsom, along with the Democrats there. And during a press conference yesterday, California State Assembly Republican leader James Gallagher, he noted how Democrats are willing to evidently violate state laws, violate the Constitution, violate their own rules that were designed to ensure that voters can engage in the legislative process. And Republican lawmakers are urging California Supreme Court to stop the effort because of all those reasons. And, you know, after all the talk these days about threats to democracy, you have to ask yourself, are the Democrats really championing that threat? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Congressman Doug LaMalfa, who served in the California State Assembly and the State Senate before coming to Washington. He represents the 1st Congressional District of the Golden State, and he joins us now by phone. Congressman LaMalfa, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Hey, Jody, thanks so much. Glad to be on with you and on Tony's show. Really appreciate it.
Well, we're glad to have you as always. All right, for those who are not aware, break down for us, Congressman, how should the redistricting process actually work?
Well, it's really clear in my own state of California, the voters spoke very loudly that they wanted it in the hands of an independent group of people, not in the hands of legislators, as witness, as long as I've been around. Well, let me put it this way. Back in 2001, when they drew them themselves, the joke was that they drew what was called the Incumbent Protection Plan. So after the propositions were passed to put the commission in place, the last two censuses, and then the redrawing of the maps were done independently by the commission, and you didn't have legislators taking an eraser to the state of California's maps and drawing lines that fit themselves. We're actually seeing in this scenario here that in order to gain favor amongst their colleagues and get the aye votes they need, they're actually asking them to draw these 5 new districts. It's like, hey, it's a free-for-all. There's actually 5 new Democrat districts under this plan, that they're actually going to draw them in such a way favorable to create with at least a couple for termed-out Democrats from the legislature, so they have a congressional seat to run in. So you tell me, I mean, you said democracy at the height there, and the Dems use that word. I don't use that word because we're a constitutional republic. But whatever the word democracy means, this isn't it. This is something. It's the most blatant example, I think, of a power play I've seen in all the years I've even observed politics, at least in my home state here. So it's amazing that they think they're going to get away with. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's what a democracy really is, which basically is, to them, mob rule, and that's what they're trying to do here. So if the Democrats' plan actually goes through, Congressman LaMalfa, what will the effects be? What would happen? You started going there. Forgive me for cutting you off, but what would happen if their plan actually goes through?
If this survives, I mean, they have to legislate something onto a ballot. They're going to hold a special election in California in November. That's the price of about $235 million. And we're getting the feedback from each county on what the counties believe it'll cost them. We're getting numbers like $350,000 for some really small counties that already have trouble keeping their deputies on the street, and like larger county. So, but it may not even be legal for these lawmakers to be making maps because the measures that put the commission in place clearly states lawmakers are not to draw the maps. So what they're doing is they're going to draw the maps first, and then they say they're going to go to the ballot and ask people the permission to set aside the Constitution on that. Now, there's an interesting interview of one of the lady Assembly Democrats. They were asking her, so who actually drew the maps? And she just wouldn't answer this question. She said, finally, basically, it doesn't matter. I mean, do you ask the chef, do you ask the chef at the restaurant how he made the food, This is a public process.
Wow.
And so if you want to see that, a reporter named Ashley Zavala was reporting that this Assemblywoman would not answer the question. So it's amazing. The Democrats have a 3-1 majority in Sacramento, so it's easy for them to pass 2/3 legislation and still have members to spare. And so, they're only affecting the congressional seats. They're not doing this on the Assembly or state Senate seats, because this is a pure power play on trying to affect Congress. But the commission is clear, the Constitution is clear, the people spoke clearly. They do not want legislators' grubby hands running the eraser and the ink on new maps.
Well, it's already way out of balance. How many Republican representatives from California versus Democrat?
Oh, good point. There's 52 members of the House in our state. It's 43-9 right now, okay? And so this would take it down to only 4 surviving Republicans if their scheme somehow works out, and maybe there isn't an upset or 2 or whatever. So you would end up with, 48-4, you know? And so
48-4.
I never believed
wow.
that, yeah. And so, you know, the last election here, Trump was able to pull, I think the number is about 38%, so that means, you know, over a third proportionally would be that way, you know. So, I mean, district lines are drawn differently. You don't necessarily get a representation based on proportion, but the proportion might be at least somewhat in the ballpark, right? So it'd be so distorted this way. And we see a lot of other blue states where you have 0.
We're going to have to end it right there.
Okay, sir. Thanks
Congressman Doug LaMalfa, California, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you coming on.